Good morning, all of you. Yesterday we have discussed the comparison of knock-in SI and CA engines. Okay, so in SI engines it is going to be after peak pressure. In CA engines it is going to be below peak pressure, before peak pressure, and homogeneity, the intensity is going to be more, and because of heterogeneity the intensity of knocking is less. Why? Because whatever the air field mixture unburned is there, that is not mixed with each other very well. Whenever the first at the start of combustion, the unburned mixture is not going to be mixed well, so that intensity of such knocking is going to be very less. The impact is going to be less when compared to SA engine. And next, coming to pre-ignition, here there will be knocking because of pre-ignition, but when it comes to C engine, there is not at all pre-ignition. We can't see pre-ignition in here. Why? Because fuel is not going to be there to reach its auto ignition temperature, and whether hotspots are going to create, but they can't lead to the pre-ignition because fuel is not there to start the combustion. So there is no chance of pre-ignition in case of CA engines. Next, coming to process of combustion, here in process of combustion it mainly depends upon the how the combustion is going to progress. We already know that, and mainly we need to say about the rate of pressure rise. Here the rate of pressure rise is low. Why? Because air fuel mixture which is there is already mixed with very well, but the rate of pressure rise is less because of low compression ratios. In SA engines we have compression ratio up to 6 to 10 only, but in CA engine the compression ratios are going to be around 16 to 20. So because of that, having high compression ratios, the rate of pressure rise is as high as 10 bar here per degree crank angle. But here, where else in SA engines we have only up to 6 bar per degree crank angle, like that only. So here we are going to have the high rate of pressure rise, and the combustion, or it is going to depend upon the finally the ignition delay period. And next, coming to fuel rating, here octane rating, whatever the good fuel in SA engine is there, it is going to be a poor, that means bad fuel for the CA engine. Whatever the good fuel for CA engine is there, it is a poor fuel for SA engine, completely vice versa. And in SA engine, the fuel quality is going to be determined with the help of octane rating, and in diesel engine, it is going to be determined with the help of C10 rating. And as well as these two ratings are going to be, if a fuel is good at octane rating, it is going to be poor or bad at C10 rating. If a fuel is good at C10 rating, it is going to be poor at octane rating. So those are the differences or comparison of knock. That means if the octane rating is high, the knocking is going to be very less. Okay, how much the octane rating is, that much knocking it can be prevented. At the same time, coming to C10 rating, how much is the C10 rating is there? That means the highest C10 rating is able to prevent much knocking. That is what octane rating and C10 rating. When it comes to fuel rating, we will discuss later while fuel requirements and fuel rating in case of diesel engines. First of all, so these are the characteristics. That this is also comparison in a tabulated way. See what are the characteristics that are that we have to follow to reduce knocking in SA and CA engines. Okay, so in SA engines, ignition temperature of fuel should be reduced. Sorry, in case of SA engines, we need to have high ignition temperature. Why? Because the unburned mixture shouldn't reach its self ignition temperature, so the ignition temperature of the fuel should be high. In CA engines, the as early as possible the ignition should be low, so the ignition temperature of fuel should be low here. Then only it can prevent knocking. Otherwise, if it is high, then the pressure differences are going to be very high. There is rapid rate of combustion which leads to the knocking. So here we need ignition temperature or auto ignition temperature of fuel should be low in case of CA engines. That means to prevent knocking. To prevent knocking, we have to follow this condition. See, completely vice versa we can see. Coming to ignition delay, here the ignition delay should be long here. Why? Because the ignition delay is long, then the auto ignition temperature is there, that can't be reached that much easily. Okay, that means the whatever the pressure or because of compression, whatever the pressure which is going to affect on the unburned charge can't reach that much easily. So if there is no much compression by the burn charge, by having the long ignition delay period, it can't achieve the ignition delay self ignition temperature. Whatever the unbound fuel is there in SI engines, that can't reach its self ignition temperature. So that's why the ignition delay should be long here. Of course, if it is too long, also problematic. Why? Because the whatever the power developed is not going to be useful. And next, coming to CA engines, it should be short. Otherwise, if it is not short, we have already seen what happens if the ignition delay is long. That means the knocking is going to be high, as I have shown with the help of diagrams also. So that's why here it should be short to prevent knocking. Coming to compression ratio, here the as high as low as possible, the low compression ratios we have to prefer. I mean, in case of SA engines to prevent knocking, and in CA engines, it should be high but not too high. Okay, so in case of SA engines, we should have low compression ratios. That means around 6 to 10, and CA engines, high means 16 to 20 compression ratio we need. Why? Because whatever the temperature for air and fuel is there after mixing, or at the time of mixing, or before the mixing is high, then because of compression ratio, the pressure and temperature increase is high, so they can reach its auto ignition temperature easily and leads to no knocking. Inlet temperature here should be low. Why? Because here if inlet temperature is low, then whatever the unburned fuel is there, that unburned fuel temperature is also going to be low here, so that it will take more time to reach its self-ignition temperature, so that by the time it reaches its self-ignition temperature, whatever the flame front from the spark plug is there, that is going to eat away the unburned portion. Okay, so that's why the inlet temperature should be low, and in here it should be high. Why? Because here we need as early as possible auto ignition. Otherwise, the pressure differences are going to be very high if the ignition delay period is going to be for too long. So it should be the inlet temperature is high. It can reach its self ignition temperature very easily, so that there will be no knocking. And inlet pressure also the same thing, where these two are related, interrelated. Next, coming to combustion wall temperature, here it should be low. Why? Because if the combustion wall temperature is low, means there is no such hot spots are going to be there, right? So whenever these hot spots are not going to be there, there is no such pre-ignition is going to be there. So that's why the combustion wall temperature should be low here. And in CA engines, the combustion wall temperature should be high. Why? Because if there is combustion wall temperature, of course, here surface to volume ratio is going to be high, and because of having high combustion wall temperatures, whatever the air fuel mixture is there which is in contact can reach its self ignition temperature easily. Whatever the combustion wall temperature there, that is going to transfer to the air fuel mixture, where the combustion wall temperature helps the air fuel mixture to raise its temperature and auto ignites within short span of time. So that is the reason where we need in CA engines combustion wall temperature should be high. Next, coming to speed, here the speed should be high. Why? Because at high speeds, the rapidity, whatever the crank angle is there, it is going to take very less time. Very less time means by increasing the speed, the total cycle is going to takes place within the short period of time. Here we are reducing the short span of time, means what? Nothing but the whatever the time required for the flame travel to cover the whole combustion chamber is going to reduce here, right? So that's why it should be high to prevent knocking. Why? Because by the time the unburned mixture reaches its self-ignition temperature, because of high speed, it should combust the whole mixture within, as well as the inlet air fuel velocity is also going to be high, right? So because of having such high velocities, there will be turbulence, and because of that high RPM, whenever we need high RPM, then the flame travel is going to take place within short span of time. The whatever the flame to be traveled is going to be covered within short span of time, so that the speed is going to be high, which prevents knocking. And in CA engines, the speed shouldn't be too low, but somewhat moderate. He has given as low, but somewhat high. At high speeds also in CA engine, knocking can be prevented, but he has given as low. But high speed at high speeds only in CA engine also, we are going to prevent knocking. Why? Because of course here we at in one point of view, it is going to take some in terms of a degree of crank travel. Okay, it is going to take more time. Why? Because per degree crank angle, if the speed is more, means we need to accumulate more fuel here, right? So because of that, here in CI engines low speeds are going to be encouraged to prevent knocking. Okay, so when it comes to speed, there are two things which we need to consider. One is engine speed depending upon the milliseconds time. Okay, and also depending upon the degree of crank travel. Okay, when it comes to degree of crank travel, we need to take some low speeds. And when it comes to milliseconds, that means why? Because it should accumulate more fuel when it comes to high speed, as the air quantity is always circulating within the combustion chamber is always the same. And now how the failure ratio is going to be coming into act, or the proportion should be taken, it is going to depend upon the amount of fuel injected, right? So that's why at high speeds we need to have more amount of fuel to be accumulated. So for accumulating more amount of fuel, it will take more time. So that's why at low speeds we can prevent knocking. Okay, not in other way. There are both advantages and disadvantages when it comes to speed in CI engines. Okay, it is in two different things we have here. We can go for high, we need to go for high power output, means definitely we need high speed. That means at high speeds only we need high power output. So amount of fuel to be accumulated will take more time. If it takes more time, then the chances of knocking is high. That's why it is taking as low here. Okay, in that perspective. But of course any engine should need to go or run at a high speed, and whenever we need high speeds, more amount of fuel to be accumulated, and there is much chance of detonation or knocking here. Okay, and coming to cylinder size, here the small sizes will give us a no knocking, as the flame travel distance to be covered is going to be reduced, so that unburned fuel mixture is not going to reach its self ignition temperature, so it is going to reduce the knocking. And then when it comes to cylinder size, there is no much impact going to be created because of this cylinder size on knock. But what is preferable means these are in SI engine small, and in CI engines large sized engines are preferred. Why? Because here the compression ratio is going to be increased. Because of that compression ratio increase, we can go for somewhat larger sizes, where where the space for air fuel mixture is going to be increased. Whenever the air fuel mixture is going to have much space, then whatever the impact created by the first few droplets which are combusted, that impact is going to be less here. So that's why we can go for large sized engines also in case of CI engines to prevent knocking. Okay, that is what the main differences between that means which are going to reduce knocking in case of SI engines. These are the engine parameters which can reduce knocking. That means in which way we need to follow for all these engine variables to prevent knocking. Okay, next coming to combustion chambers for CI engines. We have already discussed the combustion chamber for SI engines. Now coming to combustion chambers for CI engines, we have combustion chambers in SI engines, several types of SI engines. Combustion chambers we have already discussed. Now coming to combustion chambers for CI engines, we have two types of combustion chambers in case of CI engines, but in SI engines we have only one type, which we call that as we can also call that as direct injection type. Okay, now when it comes to direct injection type, first of all, why we need to go for combustion chambers? Why specifically we need to study about combustion chambers in SI engines? Why? Because these are the combustion chambers are the main, are playing very major role or very important role in determination of engine performance as well as to prevent knocking. So that's why the design of combustion chamber is going to decide the performance of an engine and the prevention of knocking it. So that's why we need to specifically study about the combustion chamber shape and sizes and combustion chamber types here. Okay, so that is the requirement of combustion chambers, whether it may be in SI engines or CI engines. Why? Because this combustion chamber design is going to impact the performance. If it is good, then the performance is going to be good. If it is not good in design, then it may impact some abnormal combustion and it leads to knocking. That means it can't prevent knocking. So that's why it has such importance to discuss about combustion chambers in the case of whether it may be SA or CI. We should definitely know about the combustion chambers. Why? Because they are going to impact the performance of an engine. So that's why when it comes to combustion chamber for CI engines, there are two types of engines. One is direct injection type and the other one is indirect injection type. Okay. First of all, we will discuss direct injection type. And what is the difference between direct injection type and indirect injection type? Here in direct injection type, we are going to have only one cylinder. Only one main cylinder is going to be there. Whatever the combustion chamber is there, the combustion space is only one. We can call that as open chamber also, open combustion chamber also. Okay. And here coming to indirect injection chambers, here the whole combustion space is divided into two chambers, whereas we can call this as divided combustion chamber also, right? Here direct injection type is also called as open combustion chamber, and indirect injection chambers are also called as divided combustion chambers. Okay, the name itself says that divided combustion chamber means the combustion space here is divided into two or more parts. But in direct injection type, we are going to have only one combustion space. We are, unlike two or more combustion chambers in case of indirect injection chambers. Okay, so under direct injection type, we have four different things, that is shallow depth chamber, hemispherical chamber, cylindrical combustion chamber, and toroidal combustion. So these are the several chambers which we call as open injection chambers or open combustion chambers or direct injection type. Okay, so here we have only one combustion space, and in indirect combustion space we have three things, that is swirl chamber, and whereas the whole combustion space is divided into two or more parts, mostly two parts only. Okay, when it comes to indirect injection chambers, we have swirl chamber, pre-combustion chamber, as well as aids chamber. Okay, in case of swirl chamber, the importance here in case of swirl chamber is going to have more swirl during the time of induction. During the time of suction or induction, the air is going to be swirly here. Okay, the swirl is going to be created during the suction stroke or within the air only. Okay, and here coming to combustion chamber, during here the swirl is in swirl chamber, the swirl is going to be created during compression stroke, and in pre-combustion chamber, the swirling here, the swirl is going to be created, the turbulence is going to be created during the combustion process. And in air cell chamber, during both, okay, we are going to have these two types of swirl here. Okay, as like on a swirl chamber as well as pre-combustion chamber. That means we are going to have swirl during compression as well as during combustion. Okay, so that is the three different things we have in case of indirect injection chambers, where in these injection chambers we are going to have divided the combustion space into two different volumes or two combustion spaces. And coming to this swirl chamber, during compression stroke we are going to have swirl within the air, and during in pre-combustion chamber, majorly the swirl is going to be, or turbulence is going to be in combustion, during combustion process, and in air cell chamber during both the process, during compression as well as combustion, we are going to have swirl in case of air cell chamber. That means the turbulence is going to be there during both the process. That means combination of these two is nothing but the air cell chamber. Okay, so first of all we will discuss one by one with the help of diagrams. So first of all, coming to open and divided means this open combustion chamber means nothing but direct injection type. Okay, so don't confuse that open and divided combustion chambers and nozzles used. Here the type of nozzle used here. Here nozzles used means the number of nozzles required. Okay, that means that is what the type of nozzle and type of combustion chamber is. It is also the performance also going to depend upon nozzles. So that's why he has given as open and divided combustion chambers and nozzles used. Okay. So this I already said this direct injection type is nothing but the open combustion chambers, and these are the four things which we are going to discuss in case of open combustion chambers. And in indirect we have swirl chamber. This is the swirl chamber. and this is pre-combustion chamber, and this is the air cell chamber where it is a combination of both the previous chambers. Okay, in which is in indirect injection chambers. Okay, we will discuss one by one. Okay, coming to first the shallow depth chamber. Okay, here we already discussed we are going to have four types of open combustion chambers, and in that first one is the shallow depth chamber. Coming to shallow depth chamber, here the diameter to depth, here the depth, see the depth here is very low and the diameter is very high. And when it comes to shallow depth chamber, these are going to be preferred in case of large engines only. Why? Because here if we prefer small engines, whatever the combustion space available is very low, so because of that there is no much turbulence is going to be there, there is no much swirl is going to be created because of very less space. Of course the shape is also not going to encourage the turbulence here. So that's why in case if it is low speed, it is low speed engines means we need to provide some high large volume cylinders. So here mainly the open combustion chamber means we are going to have only one combustion space. Okay, that is only within the main cylinder. But when it comes to divided or indirect injection chamber shape, here we have one combustion space and here we have another combustion space. So two combustion spaces are there where one of the combustion space is going to be in cylinder head and the other is going to be in the main cylinder. Okay, but when it comes to open combustion chamber, where the whole combustion space is going to be only in the main cylinder, right? So when it comes to shallow depth chamber, here this is the in early stages of engine development. Okay, this type of chamber is developed by Ricardo and some other scientists there. First of all, coming to this the shallow depth chamber. Okay, see here the shallow depth chamber, here whatever the depth is there, that is not going to be somewhat high when it comes to when we compare with the other types of chambers, combustion chambers. And because of that we can use this in only low speed engines where the more volume is going to be provided. Otherwise we can't for high speed engines we shouldn't prefer this. Why? Because there is no much turbulence, and because of that no turbulence we can't provide such high power. If there is no turbulence means no air spill, as like it is not going to react with the air and fuel in a well defined manner, so that it can't lead to giving high power output. So that's why here the shallow depth ratio is less. That means the depth here is going to be less when compared to the other combustion chambers, and that's why these engines are preferred. This type of chambers are preferred for low speed engines where it can't develop high speeds here. That means high power output is not going to be there, and this is somewhat disadvantages where the knocking is also going to be very high. Why knocking is high? Because of having very less space above the piston. Okay, so that is what about shallow depth chamber. Next, coming to the hemispherical chamber, and here when compared to shallow depth chamber, this hemispherical chamber is designed or modified to have better swish or better swirl. To have better swirl means we can create some turbulence, more turbulence when compared to this, and here the depth is going to be increased here. Okay, when compared to the depth to diameter ratio, here this is the diameter and this is the depth, and depth to diameter ratio is going to be high. So here we are going to have more depth here when compared to this. So by having more depth and the nozzle, whatever the nozzle used here, can create more cone angle. This is the cone angle with which the fuel is going to be injected. That is what cone angle. So this cone angle is somewhat improved. See here the base cone angle is somewhat less, but here the cone angle is improved here. So it can create, and because of having this shape, cylindrical shape, it can create some turbulence also within the air movement. During compression stroke it can create some turbulence by having more combustion space here and by having more depth to diameter ratio. Okay, by providing that we can reduce knocking, as well as we can improve the performance of the engine also. We can use this for high speed engines also, as the more space is available, more power output can be achieved, so that we can prevent knocking also. Okay, and next coming to the cylindrical chamber. cylindrical chamber, this is nothing but the modification to this type of hemispherical chamber. See here, the shape here is somewhat modified when compared to this. Here for cylindrical chamber, the shape here is somewhat modified, and here the cone angle is also somewhat different. See here, we can use only one jet or multi-jet. Here we used multi-jet, two or more jets we can use. We can also use here, but only single jet of nozzle is encouraged. Why? Because here that is sufficient. Because of having this shape, the combustion space is going to be improved, as well as the turbulence is going to be very high, and the cone angle is going to be around somewhat directly into the air, where it can provide much turbulence, and so that the performance of engine is also going to be increased here. So by having this shape, the turbulence is increased, and it can lead to give high power output also. Okay, high power output giving means nothing but it can achieve some high speeds. Then so that's why it is going to be encouraged in modern engines. Okay, what are the modern engines are there? Those modern engines are going to be used this type of cylindrical chamber only. Okay, most of the modern engines are going to have this type of cylindrical chamber. And next coming, this is what cylindrical chamber, and the base cone angle is here is going to be 30 degrees like that. And next coming to toroidal chamber, here the main aim is to develop a powerful squish here, a powerful swirl or powerful squish in case of this toroidal chamber, where high speeds are required. If we need high speeds, means definitely we need to have more turbulence or squish. So to provide more turbulence, and here we can provide that cone angle up to 150 to 180 degrees, 150 to 160 degrees cone angle we can provide that, so that more space is going to be covered by the fuel here. So whenever it is going to cover the more space, there is going to be more turbulence. During compression only, there is going to be some more space available, and because of the shape, here see somewhat toroidal shape is there. Okay, because of having this shape, the turbulence what during compression stroke, whatever the air is compressed, because of having this toroidal shape, it is going to create more turbulence within the air here. And whenever there is more turbulence, and the injection can inject the spray towards different directions, and by having different directions and different set of jets here, we can accumulate the fuel into the air very easily. And because of having such density within the air, high turbulence means it is going to improve the temperature as well as density, right? So whenever the density increases, the whatever the fuel injected, that can resist the forces of air and impact in better mixing of air and fuel. And so that's why very high speed engines are going to prefer this toroidal shape of chambers. Okay, so that is what these are nothing but all are open combustion chambers only, where we are going to have only one combustion space. Okay, here also one combustion space, here also, and that too in the main cylinder only. Okay, whatever we have taken, that is so that's why we are going to call them as open combustion chambers. And these are nothing but modification in their designs, and this is the highest preferred design, where we need very much high speeds. And in most of the engines, like in modern vehicles, modern designs, this type of cylindrical chamber is going to be used, where it can use for any type of engine speed. Okay, and coming to the advantages and disadvantages of these open combustion chambers, here the cold starting problem is not going to be there. But when it comes to these type of chambers, there is some cold starting problems. So that's why we have to accumulate one glow plug here to warm the air, so that because of such a cold starting is not going to be there. And the injection pressure, coming to disadvantages, the injection pressure should be very high here. Okay, since there is no much squish or much swirl within the air movement in this type of combustion chambers. Okay, so we have to inject the pressure with higher injection pressures. So to have such high injection pressures, the design of the combustion chamber, design of the fuel injector or nozzle is going to be complicated here. That is what main disadvantage. Since there is no much swirl here, we have to inject the fuel with high pressures. That means the injection pressure should be very high, to provide that high injection pressures, the cost is also increasing. Of course, it is not more than the cost of these, where separate combustion space is going to be there. But of course, when it comes to nozzle, the nozzle cost is going to be high. Why? Because it has to produce very high pressures, right? To create some turbulence within the air fuel mixture, during air fuel mixture. So that is what about open combustion chambers. And next, coming to divided combustion chambers, as I said already, these are going to be two combustion spaces. Okay, one is cylinder head and the other one is going to be in the cylinder, main cylinder. Okay, this is one combustion space and this is one combustion space. And coming to this Ricardo Swill chamber Mark II, here we have three types of combustion chambers in indirect. One is Swill chamber, another one is pre-combustion chamber, and the other one is air cell chamber. First of all, we will discuss one by one. Coming to here, as I already said, we are going to have two combustion spaces. Okay, one is, first of all, whatever the air is going to be there during compression stroke, what happens, what I said when I briefly discussed about the divided combustion chamber. First of all, we have discussed about swirl chamber, where the swirl is going to be during the compression stroke, right? And in next pre-combustion chamber, it is the swirl is going to be produced during the combustion process, and here in both process. Okay, depending on that, here what I said, the air swirl is going to be created whenever it is going to be in a compression stroke. So during compression stroke, whatever the air is going to be there with some pressure, okay, so if it is going to increase its pressure, that means here the whole air is going to be compressed during compression stroke. So some of the, here there is throat here. So because of that opening during compression process, whenever it is going to reach some high pressures, that high pressure has to be relieved. So to relieve that high pressure, whatever the air, so whatever the air is going to be there, that air is going to be accumulated into this chamber, okay, which we call it as spherical shaped swirl chamber. This is within the nothing but this is one combustion chamber space and this is one combustion chamber space. Okay, so here that's why we need to have some air turbulence. So during compression stroke, whatever the air is here, that is going to get into this spherical shaped swirl chamber, and because of having some spherical shape, the air is going to be travel like this. So with whatever the pressure it is going to come here, that is going to take some rounds here. So that's why it is going to create some swirl within the air. So that is what the reason for having another combustion space here, to provide some air swirl during compression process, right? So by having this spherical shape, the chances of creating swirl within the air is going to be high here. So here we can create swirl within the air during compression stroke. And why here the glow plug is there? As the pressure here, the pressure rise is not going to be very high. Why? Because whatever the pressure within the air is there, that is going to be accumulated within this combustion chamber. So the pressure rise is not going to be there. See here, the volume is like that only. Here the volume is increasing. So whenever if the volume increases, the pressure rise is not going to be there high. This is one of the disadvantage. So that's why we the air is not going to achieve some high pressure and temperature. Of course there is swirl, but the pressure is not going to be achieved. So that's why to achieve pressure, we are going to give some glow plugs here. So if we have provided glow plug, that means by having glow plug here, we can warm the air. Warm the air means nothing but we are going to increase the temperature. Once the temperature increases, what happens? The pressure is going to increase here, right? So that's why we have to provide glow plug. And coming to once the piston is going to be at top dead center, the fuel injection is going to start here. So here air is at a high swirl, and because of fuel injected, whatever the injection pressure is there, that is going to be low when compared to this open combustion chamber, so that we can maintain some low injection pressures here. Why? Because here there is already achievable swirl is going to be there. So because of that swirl